And we are back on The Rodriguez Show, and we have our only guest for this episode. He's been my friend. I've known him in the scene for years. He is a multi-instrumentalist, folk, singer-songwriter based out of Orange County. His name is Eddie Navega. What's up, man?
What's up, Caesar? Good to be here. It's been a long time.
I know.
Been on the show, but I'm glad to be back.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So for people that don't know, because I mean, it's been a very long time. So I used to, before I did the Rodriguez Show, I had my own podcast called Talk Everything, where I was trying to figure out how to podcast. And we had mutual friends that were in a band with you in the Cosmic Rays.
Yeah.
And that was my first ever like interviewing any kind of musician type person.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. So that was like in our small Hits 101 radio studio. So I thought that it'd be fitting for you to be one of the first guests in the brand new studio 8 years later.
Yeah. Well, I'm honored. I'm honored to be back.
Thanks, man.
That was what, like
2015.
2000. Yeah.
What were you doing in 2015?
What was I doing in 2015? I was in college, and like you said, I was in the band Cosmic Rays.
Yeah.
We had been playing probably for about a year at that point, just gigging around OC, and yeah, just trying to find shows in a very different music scene that it used to be back then, you know.
Yeah, and at that point in 2015, how long had you been making music?
I started probably freshman year in high school.
Okay.
I used to play metal.
Nice.
And there used to be like a ton of like thrash metal and rockabilly shows in like downtown Santa Ana. So I would check those out. But yeah, by college I was doing something totally different.
So when you first started doing metal, like were you just singing, playing guitar, or like was it just guitar?
It was just guitar. Yeah.
You had to learn all those like impossible riffs, right?
Yeah. It took a long time. It took a lot of calluses on my fingers, and but yeah, that's kind of what got me into it. You know, I think it's just fun music to play on the guitar when you're a kid, you know, and it sounds cool, and I think that's what drew me to it initially.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Like when I hear it, there's like a primal thing where you're like, this is just awesome. It just sounds so good.
Yeah, and as a teenager, you know, I think that's just like
the angst.
Yeah.
So you went from making metal music to in college. Is that when you started, slowing it down?
I think so. Yeah. You know, just I don't even really. I guess it was more like alternative, kind of a little bit surf rock.
Yeah. Yeah, like the Cosmic Ray stuff was a little bit surf rock. Yeah, the Cosmic
Ray stuff was more like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun.
At what point, like when you were in college, like making music, I'm sure it was like at first, was it always like, okay, this is going to be my life? Or at what point did that become the thing where it's like, okay, I'm going to dedicate my life to this?
I think, yeah, probably after that band broke up, you know?
Cosmic Rays?
Yeah. Because we had been making music for a while, and like the other writer in the band, Danny.
Yeah.
He was kind of like the main guy that I would write songs with.
Yeah.
So after we kind of disbanded, I was kind of stuck like, oh man, you know, what am I going to do? Like, still wanted to keep playing.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure like who I was going to start a band with or like what to do. And I think at that point is when I discovered like folk music, which is more of what I'm still doing now.
Gotcha.
And that's a lot of, you know, it can just be like yourself and a guitar and a harmonica, and you just write your own songs. And
is it a little bit like more, I guess, creatively, you know, there's more freedom because you're just you by yourself?
Yeah, it's just you by yourself. So I think at that point it's like when I realized that I didn't want to stop doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Even if it just had to be like me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And like I've seen you because ever since like, you know, we met because I was interviewing the Cosmic Rays because all those guys I went to high school with. I've seen you just on the scene, like I was performing here, performing there. Like even last year in 2023, you performed at the Singer Performing Arts Center at the Plaza.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was such a cool show. It was like, I mean, I love that little area, you know. It's like such a cool, relaxing spot to be in, and to be able to just play there, and for the people that are even just passing by, you know, it was a great feeling, and I think it was a special set for sure.
Do you like Because obviously there's sets where they advertise that you're going to be there, but sometimes it's just like you're part of the entertainment. Like, do you cater your set to be like for somebody to hear it for the first time and be like, oh, this is awesome? Or how do you even come up with a set for something like that?
I think coming up with a set for me, a lot of it has to do with how long it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, yeah, just like that gig, right? I was getting paid. So I wanted to make sure that the songs were going to be like pretty solid.
Yeah.
So for that, I would play mostly original songs that I knew like I was comfortable with, and then just covers that I knew people would like and
Nice.
that I also felt comfortable playing. But if it was a more like relaxed setting,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I would try out different songs that I don't usually play, or just like new material.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah. And so what song covers do you do now? Like where do you go with it?
I mean, I do a lot of like old folk songs.
Nice.
So like 60s, 70s kind of stuff.
Nice.
Some Johnny Cash. So I could tell you that a lot of older people really like my sets. But I've been trying to learn more like more recent popular songs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even then, like that style, like it's never gone away. The singer-songwriter, like folk music itself, there's just different variations of it, and I think that's what you do. You put out you still sounds modern, even though it's reminiscent of that sound from like the 60s and 70s. You know?
Yeah, and I think another thing to go off of that question is like I like to use this set sometimes to like introduce people to older songs or older musicians that they might not have otherwise known of.
Gotcha.
You know?
Gotcha.
Just because it is older and like sometimes it can be hard to like discover those artists unless you hear them from someone else or something.
Yeah. That's dope, man. And so, yeah, so one of the things that obviously you started in a band and now you're in a few bands. What is that like? Is it like, do you have to go into one mode and then into another one?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been definitely keeping me busy. As far as switching modes, I feel like all the other projects that I've joined, I've been asked to play bass for.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, my main instrument is guitar.
Yeah, okay.
But I feel like bassists are always, I don't know if it's like no one wants to play the bass or they're just hard to come by. But yeah, I got asked to play the bass for those projects. Yeah. So it's definitely a change of pace, but I like it. I've loved it really. I've learned a lot on the instrument that I think has now carried over into like the music that I'm making.
Yeah.
So it's been super helpful in that way. And also just, it's just a break from like being up front, it's like you can just kind of groove on your own on the side and like no one's really expecting you to hold the show down,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like, that's why I was asking, because I feel like you can go from like, doing your style, which is a little more chill, and then you're playing, bass for an Arctic Monkeys cover song, and you're like, this is way different than what I was just doing,
But it's fun, it keeps it interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and shout out to the Polar Primates, man. I've heard your stuff; it's great. Yeah, I want to go check you out so bad, but it's always LA, and I'm like, God dang! But it's worth the drive.
Yeah, I don't know. We get so many shows in that band in LA. It's like it's weird. It's harder to get shows out here than it is out there, but.
Yeah, I don't. There's like a few spots here and there that I see where it's like tribute bands. I see it at the Wayfair in Costa Mesa, or like Garden Grove, the amphitheater sometimes. But there's not that many places where they're just like a cover band for one specific band or something.
Right. Yeah.
So they can follow you on Bandcamp. That's where you've released a few singles. I know you. They're all like I want to talk about because they're all great songs, but they all have this like southwestern aesthetic. Is that like intentional?
I don't think it was necessarily intentional when I was putting them out. I didn't even really think of it that way till you brought it up. But I can see how.
Like the cactus imagery and stuff.
Yeah, that one was actually taken at my grandparents' house in Mexico.
Oh wow!
Last year, yeah. It was just one morning I was up there, and then I was just having a cup of coffee, and my girlfriend just happened to like snap a picture of me.
Yeah.
But it looks so cool. Like it looks so grand. Mm-hmm. It seems like everything looks like big. Like huge proportions.
Yeah, that's what it feels like too when you're like walking around like Joshua Tree or something. You're like, oh, this is big.
Yeah, and so yeah, looking back on the pictures when I put that song out, I was looking for something that I thought kind of matched the sound of that song and the vibe, and that fit perfectly. I felt so. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and so if they go to at the life of Lalo _, that's where there's a link tree to everything that we've been talking about so far. Like they can get tickets to all the gigs. So yeah, you've been working with our friend David from Intentional Sound for a while now. How did you guys meet?
That's funny. I was actually thinking about how I met David like a couple of days ago, and I don't even really remember. I think I just messaged him on Instagram one day when I was trying to put out my last EP.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure out I was trying to find someone to record with. And I think I had just seen like his page that he had been working on music, like of other musicians in the area. So I just hit him up and I was like, hey, like my name's Eddie Navega, like trying to put out an EP. You want to grab lunch or something? We can go over like, our stuff.
Yeah.
And from there, it was just kind of, we've just been working together, and he's brought me on to other people's projects to like help out, record some guitar or like bass.
Nice.
So yeah, it's been like a pretty mutual relationship.
Yeah, David, man, he's worked with a lot of people that we featured on the show, and he's just a great person to work with. So check him out at Intentional Sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, speaking of David, you guys went recently. Where did you go, to the mountains or something to record?
Yeah, we went out to Idlewild.
Oh, okay.
With an engineer. He's got a studio. His name is John O'Brien.
Mm-hmm.
And his studio is called The Music Box.
Gotcha.
So he used to have a studio out in Fullerton. That's when I first met him. That was probably 2019. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2019, I think. And he showed me around, and I thought, he had a great space. And he had worked with a lot of cool people, and just kind of the whole sound that he showed me that he had worked on, I felt really complemented like my own stuff.
Yeah.
So I was super into it, but I never really got a chance to work with him up until this past week. Everything just kind of like lined up and worked out perfectly. So
What did you guys record?
we recorded. I'm planning on putting out an album this year.
Nice.
So out of 8 songs, we recorded about 7.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how far along is the process now after recording them? Like, what's next?
What's next is going to be just to record that last song and then get it mixed and mastered, and then in the meantime, doing all that, do an album cover.
Yeah. And how much do you enjoy the process of like not the music, the album cover stuff? Like, is it tough for you?
I think this time around it might be a little bit more involved, just because like for my previous releases, it's been pretty simple. It's just been artwork that I've had or that people have shared with me that was already made, right?
And I'm sure for a single or like for like a 3-song project, it's a little easier to be like, all right, this represents the 3 songs.
Yeah.
Now it's an album,
Yeah. So for this time, I kind of want to do something more, a little bit more of like a whole process, like maybe do something like a staged picture or something, like a whole set.
Yeah.
So I have a couple ideas in mind, but I think it's definitely going to be take more time this time around. But I think that's fine. I'm excited for it. It's just another part of the process that I'm excited to learn from and kind of, experience.
Yeah. So yeah, man. So you already have a lot of that stuff. You're doing a lot already. When do you plan to release the album? Like time period?
Yeah, I'm hoping to release it sometime in spring.
Okay. Nice. So pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah. So probably between March or June right now is my timeline.
Nice. Well, I will definitely repost it, and I follow you already on the Rodriguez show, so we'll keep up with that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. So you talked a little bit about the music scene in Orange County when we first talked in 2015, but like now, even after the pandemic and everything, like what's the scene like now? Do you think? As somebody who's always out there.
Yeah, I think it's just so much more I don't know, alive. Just so much going on,
Yeah.
Like so many great musicians, so many great bands, like so much creativity that's coming out of. I mean, we're where we mostly perform, like Santa Ana.
Yeah. Downtown.
Yeah, so just like a lot of influence and a lot of people to like collaborate with. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And just really exciting.
Yeah, there's so many platforms, like even, obviously like us too, but like there's other podcasts and other like live events that are weekly, like the Cool Lab, stuff like that, where there's so many opportunities if you're in Orange County to, put yourself out there.
Yeah, just to like, what's that word? To network. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, yeah. So before we move on to the performance that we're going to do a little bit, I wanted to ask you, just in general, like, what's the last piece of media, whether it's a book, whether it's a song, movie, TV show, that inspired you creatively?
That's hard.
Or something you're just enjoying.
Yeah. Piece of media that's been inspiring. I don't know. There's been a lot. I think this past year and like for the past couple years, there's been this one band that I think has been really inspiring to me. They're called Cutworms.
Okay.
And they kind of play similar style to what I'm doing. So it'd be like folk rock.
Nice.
And yeah, just kind of, my friend called it like psychedelic circus country music.
Wow, that sounds great.
Yeah, so it's a pretty cool style.
Yeah.
But just also like the songwriting. I'm a big fan of like songs with good lyrics. So
yeah.
I think a lot of his stuff is pretty. He focuses on that,
nice.
And I appreciate that.
Is it just one person, just with a band, or like as their name, or?
Yeah, I mean it's like there's the one main guy, but he does have a band. But
Gotcha.
I guess the artist name he goes by is Cutworms.
Nice.
And I think the last book I read was probably like 100 Years of Solitude.
Okay.
No, it took me like forever to finish it, but yeah, I think that was also really inspiring to a lot of like the songs that I've been recording right now.
Nice. Well, all right, man. Well, we're going to go into the performance in a little bit, but is there anything else you want people to know? Anything else you got coming up in 2024 other than, the album we just talked about?
Yeah. I got a couple shows this month. So I'll be playing with Francisco and the Lusitanos.
And that was the one I didn't know much about. What is that? What is Francisco and the Lusitanos? Like, what style is that?
I would say it's Americana.
Oh, okay.
So kind of like, yeah, kind of alternative. He calls it Mex Americana.
Oh, okay. That's funny.
So yeah, it's like very influenced by country and folk music, but definitely still rock and roll, I think.
Yeah, a little more rock edge.
Yeah. And then another big show is coming up is on the 27th, January 27th, at the Garden Amp.
Nice.
So they're calling it Indie Sleaze Fest.
Yeah.
And it's going to be with the Polar Primates.
Nice.
But there's also going to be Strokes tribute band playing.
Nice.
And Yeah's tribute band.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
And an Interpol tribute band.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's going to be like a day chock full of just indie early 2000s rock bands.
All right, I'm going to go to that. I'll definitely be there.
And then I think my last show is going to be on the 26th at this place called The Collage in San Pedro.
Nice.
And that's going to be a performance of my own songs. So
dope.
For that one, I'll be playing with a whole band, which I'm excited for because I haven't played my songs with the whole band in a long time. So
that was a special occasion.
Yeah.
Well, all right, man. Well, they can follow you on Instagram at @thelifeoflalo_. Eddie, thank you for being here, and we're gonna be right back with the performance. You ready for the performance?
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. We'll be back right now on The Rodriguez Show.